Thanks. There could be any kind of the same code.
Massey, the watering for this going on. I'm curious about that. Just out of curiosity. And doing my perimeter.
It's only good that I'll call you.
So it's to get it stabilized enough so you work it in there. Ask a question.
I'll send it to you. We talked. I'll put it last two.
Literally?
Yeah, I'm thinking like it's easier to host people at your house or drive to take it. I think it's gonna be easier. There's no suck it up.
Sorry. All right, 1700, we'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Okay, Mr. Craig.
Present.
Mr. Mount.
Here.
Mr. Molitor.
Here.
Ms. Curry. Mr. Whitmore.
Here.
Mr. Voss.
Here.
Mr. Granger.
Present.
Mr. Doherty.
Present.
Mr. Byrd.
Here. Thank you. We do have a quorum, so all action items will be taken. First is the approval of the agenda. Kevin, are there any additions or subtractions to the agenda originally published?
Yes, sir. In the original agenda, we need to remove for 1 month the approval of the Alliance Capital Management Aeronautical Ground Lease Agreement. They've asked for some additional time on that.
Okay.
And we need to add the approval of amendment number 2 of the FDOT Air Traffic Control Tower Design and Construction Grant. And then we also, so that'll be under action items. We also need to move up approval of the Welsh Construction proposed settlement agreement from attorney's report to action item.
Okay.
And it looks like I've spelled Welsh incorrectly.
Yep.
WELSH. I did have multiple areas, so I have that going for me today.
You did that for Brad.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, and is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended and presented by the director? Moved by Mr. Foster, second. Second by Mr. Granger. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes 6-0. Approval of the meeting minutes. October 20th, 22 meeting minutes. So I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I move to approve the minutes.
Moved by Mr. Molitor, second. Second by Mr. Voss. Is there any discussion? Any additions, subtractions, concerns about the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor of the approval of the October 20th, 2022 regular meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes 6-0. Action items, Kevin.
Yes, sir. First up for board consideration, we have approval of amendment number 2 of the FDOT Air Traffic Control Tower Design and Construction Grant and associated resolution. In order for us to move forward eventually with construction of said air traffic control tower, we have to complete an environmental assessment. The state is offering $64,000 in funding assistance. Our local share will be $16,000 to a total of $80,000, and we are recommending approval. May I answer any questions?
Do I have a motion to approve the Alliance Capital Management Ground Lease Agreement as presented?
Nope, we're on the FDOT grant. Sorry.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I have a motion to approve the FDOT Air Traffic Control Design and Construction Grant as presented.
Quick question, why the increase?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I make a motion.
We need the motion first.
Oh,
then we
okay,
can
sorry.
discuss. Moved by Mr. Granger. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Voss. Now discussion, please. Sorry.
Question, why the increase?
Because we have to do an environmental assessment and they're just kind of adding, they knew we had to do it anyway. So we kind of refined the scope after talking to the FAA and they wanted, basically, they're going to add more money to it now. So we knew we had to do it to begin with, but there was budgetary concerns. So they're going to add money at a later time. So today is later time.
So was the EA always in there or did they increase the scope of the EA?
Oh, no, it's basically a new line item within the grant, but it was something we're going to have to
Okay,
do
I got
either way.
That answers it. Thank you.
Kevin, was it due to timeline?
Nothing. Actually, I would say it probably helps us because we're competing for bill funding at this point. So, and we're aggressively going after the grant for construction. So this helps us kind of get in front of everyone else.
Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, do I have, we'll call a question. All in favor of approval of amendment number 2 of the FDOT Air Traffic Control Tower Design and Construction Grant, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes 6-0. Kevin.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Adam, do I, I'm on this B, I'm financially involved in that.
Yeah, you're allowed to recuse yourself from that vote.
Do I do it now or just?
No, you just have to, it just has to be noted before the
Well,
vote.
we have the Welsh construction up next.
Yes.
Yeah, please don't vote on your own.
Okay,
No, you don't.
I won't, just remind me.
Okay.
Wait, so that's not B?
Correct. We're under
Oh, we're on the
approval
red
of
page.
Welsh
Oh.
construction.
Sorry.
And I would actually ask Attorney Burr to brief the board on the settlement agreement.
Sure. As the board may recall last time, I think the last update we had was we had made some movement, but we were still somewhat apart on where we wanted to go. After further discussions with both Kevin and opposing counsel, we moved and the other side moved, and where we landed, at least for the board's consideration, is $470,000 in settlement. And we get the lighted X's back, the ones that were purchased for the project, which will have value to us. If you'll recall, the actual amounts based upon the judgment that exists, which is on appeal, but the judgment that exists, the interest on the judgment, and then the potential additional costs, not attorney's fees, but costs on top of that, were in the $450,000, $460,000 range anyway. And so we're not, certainly we're getting the lighted X's back, we're not beyond what is or could be due under the judgment reasonably. So I was very clear with opposing counsel, we're not paying any attorney's fees on the other side. That will never be a part of our settlement. We're not concerned about that. So if that's going to be a sticking point, we'd rather just go forward. And this is where we landed. The agreement that we have in place has been approved, and I think it's already been signed by Mr. Welsh. It is entirely conditional board approval. So there is absolutely there are no strings attached. If the board votes to approve it, it'll go forward as the terms exist, and we'll sign it. It'll become valid and enforceable. Or chooses not to approve it by vote, it's as though it never existed. We still have our motion for fees, the other side's motion for fees, the appeal, and all of those things that we previously discussed. So happy to answer your questions.
So with this settlement, all action going forward, the appeals and all that stuff are gone.
Everything between us is gone with the exception of existing warranties for work already done. So we didn't want to waive, obviously, if something happens in the future, but for now, we don't know of any such claims. We just reserve those. But other than that, correct.
How much work has been done to date? It would be under that.
All of it, the project was completed in 2016.
Okay, it was way before my time.
Right, but the question is a good one still. If there is warranty work, if something happens, depending on what it is and how long you've known about it or other things, I mean, you're looking at least, so for example, defective construction on latent defects, 10 years. So we're still within that time period where we don't want to say, hey, you go your way, we'll go ours, because if something pops up, arguably we would have waived it in the agreement. But it's as extensive as we can make it while protecting our interest on our project.
And we're still monitoring the construction site, especially with the storms.
What's the approximate value of those lighted X's? Just out of curiosity.
Probably 30,000.
Both or each?
No, probably for both of them at this point, because they're probably almost 10 years old at this point. But still, it's something that we need and we'd like to have them back.
Oh, yeah.
Pay for them.
Absolutely.
So
I can't imagine they would have gotten too much use.
Yeah, Adam, other than just not liking this in general, do you have misgivings about proceeding with this as we're talking today?
misgivings, that's a hard question to answer.
Okay.
No, I mean, all I can do is give you the benefit of my experience and have the board make a decision. I know in talking with Kevin that from the business side of things, there's a strong feeling that this will be a drain on both funds and opportunity costs to go forward. And you're talking years before resolution if it doesn't settle.
Energy.
And the unknown, right? I mean, you know, I can talk to you all day long about how I feel about it and how strong I think our appeal is or not, but we don't control what happens. So, you know, again, it's a tough question to answer.
Diane, close enough.
Yes, sir.
Got it. Feel like it.
Other than time and energy, what's the financial potential downside?
Well, just going forward on, so if we didn't settle and we move forward, we still have to do the appeal. And you still have to do the motion for attorney's fees. And even if you're successful on that, and if you're not successful on it, then they're gonna get a judgment for attorney's fees, 200 and some odd thousand. I know the number because that's was part of their original claim. They don't have a very strong claim for attorney's fees, in my opinion, but it's there. And so between having to post a supersedeas bond to prevent collection efforts while we appeal, which has to be the judgment plus I think 2 years interest on the judgment. Then having the cost of attorney's fees for doing the appeal itself and the cost of defending the motion for attorney's fees. There's a lot of time and energy, and appeals take about a year to 2 years, give or take. So a lot of time and a lot of money. Now, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, if we did all that and we won and got a zero on the other side, we'd save money. It's not gonna cost $407,000 to do those things, but there's a lot going into that.
It's a risk.
Yes.
Any other questions? Two questions for you. First of all, do we know the actual physical status of the X's? Do they work? Are they?
According to Mr. Welsh, he said that he has kept them operational the entire time and they do work, but I guess we, you know, when they deliver, they'll have to prove that they in fact do run.
Sure.
Yes.
They have to be functional.
And secondly is going forward, since we do not have a preferred vendor list yet, at least, is Welsh able to bid on contracts that are open? Is there a bid? You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There isn't probably a good reason for us to work with them again for a variety of reasons.
Sure.
But what is our legal exposure if they come and bid on a contract?
It is a good question. For public bidding, there's no blacklist or anything where we can say, hey, we've got a problem with you. But both federal and state guidance, in my opinion, is you certainly don't have to forget the past, right? So when you're looking at the best value and the best fit for the organization, and particularly on the federal side, I know for the FAA, that's one of the primary things. It's not who's the cheapest, it's who's the best fit for the airport for that project.
Okay.
You certainly can factor in history and work performance and things. You don't have to forget what you know, essentially. I think we should, you know, make certain that we document that appropriately. We want to make sure we're fair and apply the correct standards and follow the law when we do the evaluations. But, you know, just to answer your question, you don't have to forget that.
So that is important that the FAA doesn't view, they view best value, not lowest cost.
Correct.
Yeah, most responsible bidder, I think it's.
That is right.
And that is as judged by the entity or the FAA or a combination of both.
It would be by the entity, by the sponsor. The only way the FAA would get involved is if there was something obviously wrong. They're not going to substitute their judgment for the sponsor.
Any other questions or concerns? I have a motion to approve the Welsh Construction proposed settlement agreement as explained, or actually as written.
I move to approve it.
Moved by Mr. Mullins, or second by Mr. Granger. Any more discussion or concerns or questions? That being said, call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes 6-0.
At least I know that word.
Yes, thank you.
Kevin, oh, Kevin.
Yes. Justin's going to do the contract award for the our construction guy.
The corporate hangar in Maryland, the project's been going on for some time. We put out to bid twice for the construction and the erection of the building. The bids came back. The second time they actually came back higher, $888,016. we're asking today for the board to approve us not to exceed the amount of $888,016. We're currently negotiating with the contractor, the low bidder, based on the bid tab on value engineering some of those items to kind of bring that down. The grant was only for originally $704,000. If we did negotiate, we paid the full amount there, we would be up over $1.1 million for this building. So and it's a 50-50 grant. Half is from Maryland Aviation, the other half is from the state of Florida. The state of Florida has only authorized $352,000. Originally, they gave me another 158, so we're still a little short. But we're trying to work on numbers here. We'll go back to the state for some more money and see if they give it to us. But we're just asking today for the approval to enter into agreement with the low bidder for $888,000, not to exceed $888,016 for the site work and the erection of the building.
So it's a fixed price contract.
No, so we're going through right now. We're trying to cut out some of the quantities for asphalt, kind of shrinking down the ramp a little bit. We've changed out a lift station, but
Basically looking at individual line items within the bid that seem a little excessive.
My only question is, low bidders oftentimes will bid it low and go for change orders. So you have to really control that very closely.
I think you've worked with this group in the past and been very successful.
yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable with them. They built our south hangars, the new hangars in Maryland, C&D construction. They've done what work for us. When this project started years ago, the construction amount was $450,000 roughly bid for what was estimated for construction and erection of the building, and now we're almost double. So sign of the times.
So we got a grant that is 50-50.
Correct.
But now this is much more expensive. So who comes up with the differential over the 50-50 of what our budget was?
I don't know how the contract reads.
I think it would be the state and the
It's split.
the owner. So we're still trying to finalize.
I think we're going to get there. We're going to have the money. It's as it sits today with the items that we've value engineered. We're about from the state. I'm $19,000 short, so that's not too crazy in the scheme of things.
And what's the purpose of this building that we're doing?
Is a corporate hangar for a business entity.
Why don't you try
to
to Mark?
try to make some development there in Merritt Island instead of that crappy northwest end. We could use, I have a commercial business there that needs all the space it can get.
Maintenance shop.
And yes, and it's just been, don't put it out again because they keep going up. It just keep going up. It's just a terrible time to be in that, as you guys know better than me. But I think the big takeaway, I don't want to speak at her, but the airport authority, there's nothing coming out of the budget.
Correct. Yeah.
No matter how much it goes up, the DOT and the tenant have a 50-50 obligation to pay for this.
And it's an asset for the airport authority.
And so there's a ground lease that is involved in it.
We approved that.
Okay. And then there's no lease for some period of time then?
Correct. Yeah, the way it was structured, this was all a few years ago. This entity, Mark's group, basically has prepaid his rent
By the construction.
Correct. Yeah. And then again, at the end of the lease, it's an airport authority asset. And it does help clean up that north side. It's it's seen better days.
And how long is the lease?
Oh gosh, I don't remember the number.
25.
I think until the credit expires. I think that's what.
No, the lease was a 20 with 2 5s.
Okay, so 30. Okay.
25. Your standard.
Do I have a motion to approve the contract award to C&D Construction for construction of North Corporate Hangar Project at Merritt Island Airport not to exceed $888,016.
I move to accept as proposed.
By Mr. Whitmore, is there a second? Second by Mr. Voss. Are there any other questions or concerns? For the public record, we have one recusal due to a business conflict, so there will only be 5 votes on this motion. Is that good enough, Mr. Burke?
Yes, thank you.
Any other last minute questions or concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Kevin, invoices.
Invoices for the past month. Somebody read it. For Arthur Dunn Airport, we have for the AWAS replacement design and bidding instruction services for AFCON. Pad number 5 is $1,772.92. Also for AFCON, pad number 6 is $3,707.03. Here at Space Coast Regional, design and construction of the BAC ramp and taxi lane. Request number 7 for Car and Collier is $434,516.81. Fuel farm here at Space Coast for AFCON, pad number 7 is $15,371.13. For the control tower design and bidding for AFCON, pad number 6 is $13,980.71. And down at Merritt Island for the AWAS replacement, AFCON pad number 4 is $1689.40. And pad number 6 is $5490.55 also for AFCON.
Is there a motion to approve the invoices as presented?
I'll move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Mulder, is there a second? Second by Mr. Granger. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes 6-0. I think you're back up.
Project updates, legacy projects, 927 rehab. We're still waiting a drainage permit from the city of Titusville, and then we're also negotiating a change order of the contract that do the drainage work. Hopefully have that here in the next few weeks. Hangar 52 demo has been just dragging out forever. The contractor finally responded to us today and said he would have documents to us. He's just got to fill out 2 pieces of paper and he's done. He said he'd have us to us by tonight. So hopefully we'll see. The BAC ramp and taxi lane, a chance to go over there and take a look at it. It looked really nice. They moved a bunch of planes over there. The only thing that's left is a few punch list items, some striping. The final striping needs to be done, and then we'll start closeout paperwork with the state and get that project closed up. But it's very nice over there. The VAC loves it. They're super happy.
It is ginormous.
Yeah, they pulled everything out today from the Vietnam display hangar so they can have some cornhole party this weekend. Corporate hangar. We met with FDOT yesterday, a representative from FDOT, and we are still working down that value engineering on that. So hopefully we've already approved that, but we'll get it down even further. The building is still on track for January, so we need to move quick. Nothing's really changed for the EA down in Merritt Island for the T-Hangar development. NASI project, the hurricanes kind of slowed it up a little bit, but they're back working again. They've been doing dewatering all week. They actually pulled some pipe up there with the conflict, but they had to change the elevation of some of the drainage pipe. They've got that up, and they've got the crew there today. They're putting it back down. that is moving along finally. New projects, both for the AWAS at Arthur Dunn and for Merritt Island. We had our pre-bid meeting yesterday. We did have some interest, so we should, I think it's the 7th of December, bids are due. And so if we get that going early next year and get that project done. Same with Merritt Island. Same deal. Control tower design is underway. I think we're supposed to be at 30% by Monday design, and then we aggressively apply for the bill grant. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get the FAA to give us the money for that.
We did get really good feedback on our bill grant application. They said it looked really good. And, we're far ahead of other airports that are looking for a control tower. So we're just going to keep aggressively doing the things that we need to do. So, yeah, we did some. I think we should just put them in there for a couple hours.
Fuel farm relocation, that the design is pretty much done. We have to get with FDOT and find some money for construction. Challenger Drive extension. That project falls in line. It's an extension of the road from Challenger Parkway down to Grissom Road, which would break apart Space Coast Innovation Park. That goes to the North of our Economic Development Zone meeting, which is tomorrow for grant funding.
What's that 465,000 cover?
Is for the engineering associated with the
Just the
roadway
engineering
and permitting.
and permitting. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Brief little update, Hurricane Nicole. We did have some minor damage at each airport to some roofs. We had flooding on the airfield at Merritt Island. There was a nice little storm surge that rolled across through waves at the approach of the runway. It did some damage to some of the lights. We fixed all that. The Pappies I was worried about were almost underwater, but we didn't get there, so we were good there. We did have probably our largest response from FPL. Space Coast supported the Florida Power and Light emergency response group. They built giant tent structures. We had over 1,000 beds on site for the workers to sleep in. And in a city over there, it's probably the most active site we've ever had. They left on Saturday, and then they came back Sunday with another 100 vehicles. We let them stay, and they were doing some more cleanup, and they finally left this morning. So they are out of here.
We'll get tourist tax.
We got our power turned back on.
Yes.
I mean, not at the beginning, though. Why it takes so long?
Well, we wanted to suffer a couple days.
And then just a quick airport operations update. Arthur Dunn average last month 60 ops a day, Space Coast 157, and Merritt Island 312 operations per day. That's all I got. Any questions?
Questions for Justin?
Thank you.
Justin? Kevin?
All right, next up we have for ongoing business. I still have this on the agenda, the spaceport name change. Still hoping for the exploration spaceport. Yeah. I mean, it ties in so nicely to the community. It's very cohesive. Love to have you guys say yay to it.
Does this qualify as subliminal advertising or is it something else? Did you get any rough marketing ideas, sketches, what logo would look like? Did I miss that?
Funny you should ask. It's kind of conceptual what we came up with. So really kind of our next steps, assuming we get board approval, we have to update our FAA spaceport license. We have to finalize our logo. We'll populate a page within our website to start that, and then we'll put together a marketing plan, which you had tasked me for in my performance review for the airport and the spaceport. This would really be the first step, is getting the board approval to march forward with this name.
Is there any questions for Kevin? We can give board direction at this point. We don't need to, it's not on the action item, so we can't really vote on it. But what we can do is give him direction to move forward and then vote on it at the next meeting based on what he comes back with from a final talk with Adam and make sure we get all the legal stuff covered. But please give Kevin some feedback or questions if you do.
So Kevin, the word exploration, I understand, is being developed as a marketing term for the area in general.
It is, yes.
So is there a lot of money being spent towards that end from different
I mean,
directions?
I don't really know the answer to that. All I know is, it's very popular. It ties into Brevard County, and it'll tie into us. Space Perspective really likes it. They use the term explorers, so they're very excited about this.
Really?
Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah.
People out of Florida, outside of the Southeast US, outside of the US in general, is exploration going to be a word that they get presented before they hear about exploration? Spaceport possible?
I think that'll be part of our job, is to market it.
And
to those people that don't know.
anybody else going to be marketing it too? Is that coming out? Any other organization here going to be marketing that exploration for something else? They're doing exploration tower, exploration industrial park, whatever.
And then exploration.
Here's
park.
Exploration Park.
That's what the park is.
Yeah, they're always talking about the spaceport commerce park, or whatever they call it. They're talking about that becoming Exploration Park. Hey, Troy.
Well, I mean, could he kind of present this?
Yeah, sure. Troy, come on up.
So I'm Troy Post with, well, you can keep it, with the North Brevard Economic Development Zone. And yeah, we do have the request before the meeting tomorrow. So
Yeah.
we'll look at that, hopefully very favorably. But this concept on Exploration Park West, that came to us through Space Florida DEC.
Mhm.
They really wanted to try to take all the property along Prison Parkway and kind of rebrand it. So this example here shows how we would kind of replicate the image or the look of the sign that they currently have at Exploration Park. And we'll start developing branding materials that go with that Exploration Park West title.
Thanks, Drew.
So it would be part of this exploration spaceport would be physically part of or co-located with this, with the exploration part?
Sort of, because our spaceport is a certain geographic.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're next to each
area-wise.
other.
Okay.
Our property literally abuts up to theirs.
But their advertising and things are probably gonna
Bring
bring that in.
That's what
Oh.
I mean, there'll be some social media tools that we'll use. We'll build a website. We'll probably have.
Just to make it, seems to make it cohesive.
cohesive and tied together.
I like it.
And we've already grabbed the social media handles for it.
Okay.
Isn't that what the kids do, Justin?
Yes.
Is there a reason why we couldn't go ahead and decide on this today, make a motion to move it to an action item, get it done? Appropriate.
Because it's on as continuing business, I'm pretty sure, Adam, that we can't just have a spurious motion because it's on the agenda as in a different spot.
Right.
That's the problem.
I
Because
think
but what we can do is we can give direction to the director to move forward and then officially approve it at the next meeting. That gives the public some time to,
Sure.
Gotcha.
if anybody's reviewing the minutes or whatever and go, hey, I really don't like it, or that's, I've got an issue, it gives them a chance to say something.
We're going to have a forum in December.
I hope so.
Everybody show up.
I have a question. So does the, I noticed like Exploration Park West, and then it says underneath it at Florida Space Coast.
That's a conceptual.
Yeah.
But my only reservation with this is there's no, remember we started off with Titusville and
Mhm.
Canal.
Well, I'm sure
There's no geographic
will be
tie.
exploration spaceport at Spaceport Regional. I mean,
Yes.
We can say that.
Well, I was just curious,
Because
because
we decided to keep the airport name.
Correct.
Yeah.
okay.
All right, so I'll bring this back next month.
We just didn't want Space Coast Spaceport.
Yes.
I think it was longer than that, right?
It was longer at one point.
So we had Cape Canaveral Space
Aaron's
Forward.
spaceport.
Yeah.
Right, so do we
I'd
have
like
a
that to touch on
general consensus? We don't have to vote or anything. Is there any reservations by anybody about at least telling Kevin to move forward to start that process rolling? And then we can bring back what he had. He can bring back whatever he has for a final vote at the next meeting.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, Kevin, you've got the direction. If you make sure that's out as an action item for the next meeting. And Adam, anything you can provide from a legal standpoint, would be greatly appreciated.
Right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Sorry, Don. I think we're just a few things left. Okay.
We did good. We had all of us here for a while.
Hot 5 minutes.
That brings us,
Solid run.
that brings us to the attorney's report.
Thank you.
But what are we gonna do with all this extra time?
John gotta stay.
Oh,
Back to work.
Okay. Deputy Director of Finance and Administration report.
And for the record, Christina Kennard, Deputy Director of Finance Administration. I wanted to point out quickly too on the modified or revised agenda. We do have a page on there for everyone to take a look at to verify your email addresses and your phone numbers.
Where's that?
It should be on top of your agenda packet.
Okay. Last page.
Does anyone have any questions on the check register?
Who's car and Collier?
Those is the construction company for the
BAC.
VXC.
Okay, silly question, what's the expiration dates? By which,
Those are the terms for each. We just keep a copy of this up front. We just used it so that you could initial next to your email and phone number.
What's the expire mean? I'm not supposed to be here. Because I ended in August.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a
that's-
holding over
it's
issue.
Right, it's subject to when the new person was elected.
Make it or not.
Talk to you, Dawn.
I didn't want to be that guy.
You seem to enjoy it. Nobody
Well, since I have this powerful, this meeting, all right, we're gonna do this.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, Next is the QuickBooks software update. As I mentioned last meeting, we did go live with QuickBooks as 10/1. We are in the process of currently processing all transactions through QuickBooks. However, we are finishing up the year end and getting everything situated within the new system. But first, we have to complete the financials for year end. Thank you. The next thing on the item, I think, is the Wells Fargo fraudulent check issue update. The original amount for the checks was $208,317.19. We have recovered $9,038.71 to date. But that is all that we have been able to recover so far.
How are you recovered?
That was actually, I brought up to the bank once I was notified and went into the system later that day. I saw that there were fraudulent checks going on within the account, called them, and I was unable to get a hold of the representative that we have. So I spoke with the fraudulent department then, so I think there was a little bit of a delay. But a few checks processed after we supposedly had the fraud put on our account, and they did honor the request to refund that amount because we had notified them they were fraudulent checks.
Are we planning on taking legal action against Wells Fargo?
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't think we'd have
That's where you're
to.
gonna get your money.
I wouldn't think we'd have to be
The
there.
fraudulent checks that I got, I mean, they've already, my TD Bank's already reimbursed me for that stuff, so.
They are not. They've already come back and said they're not.
Really?
Yes,
Based on,
they don't want it. No, I mean, I don't think they gave us an explanation.
Switch
Just-
banks.
Well, that's in
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
We're gonna send a strongly worded letter to
Well,
Wells Fargo.
We're gonna start
Put them on
notice.
notice.
Correct. We're gonna try to gather as much information as we can on getting our account documents, getting any kind of policies, the written policies that they have for this type of thing. As we discussed last time, it was the 111th check where someone finally requested an ID. And if that's something they should have been doing from check number one, then that's a policy of their
Are
own.
we talking to the right person and we're going high enough in the organization to get some?
We're following the pathway that they've got. So, they've got their internal fraud department where we make the report and then we wait for them to look at everything and decide what they're going to do. And that's what we've learned since the last meeting is they come back with their final decision and say, here's $9,000, good luck with the rest.
So we saw actual PDFs of the check. It's, of course, they have our account number, they have our logo, they have your signature, they have my signature. I mean, they didn't miss a beat. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
Wells Fargo have video of their transaction, who this person is.
I'm certain of it, because they actually went into a Wells Fargo branch.
Yeah.
That was my question. Any pursuit of the perpetrators of this? Any movement towards getting hold of the people that actually did it?
Well, it's been turned over. We called the Titusville Police Department. They came out. I've given them a report and they have the affidavit that we had to sign with the bank reporting the checks as fraudulent. And at this point, I was told that probably because of the dollar amount, it's going to get turned over to federal investigators. So we're waiting at this point to hear back.
This happened at a local bank?
I'm to the understanding from the information that was given to me from our bank representative that it happened in the Miami area.
Miami area. Go figure.
How much total did you say?
Originally it was 208,000 and then we were able to recover the 9,000 so far.
199,000. The response makes no sense to me. At least in my history.
It doesn't. Unacceptable. Been on
Can we also sue them for attorney's fees and everything else that causes?
And
You have to have an agreement, don't you?
we do. I mean, we have an account agreement. So that's what we have to gather from them, all of the documents we need. If they'll work with us, remains to be seen. We can try to do it informally. If not, we'll have to decide what the next steps are. Certainly in any litigation, we'd be entitled to those documents.
Sharp knives out. So,
They call it Channel 9 action report.
I just can't wrap my head around 111 efforts before they check an ID. My
Seriously.
local bank, Chase Bank, they know me by name. I go in, it's like, okay, you gotta show the ID. I mean, come on.
ID just deposit money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Making a deposit. Okay, Brad, show me the ID. Thank you very much.
Miami-Dade
Over what
County.
span of time?
The first one I think occurred on 10/7 and then 10.
Except for like 2 weeks. period.
Yeah, I was not the yeah, 10/18.
It's nothing to-
Christie, with being on QuickBooks and everything, you should be able to catch disbursements like that.
Yes, it should be a lot quicker with everything.
Okay.
I mean,
So that'll help on our side, be a stopgap to keep that habit, catch it quicker
yeah.
if we know it's happening.
I mean, I was 30 days, 40 days later when I started reconciling the account. It's not our responsibility. I mean, we can put it in with them. Anyway, no need to belabor the point, I guess. Learn.
The financial statements, I handed them out. Everyone should have them. I did mark them. They are preliminary. Things are still coming in that we might have to approve for payables. We're still reconciling a few accounts. But hopefully a lot of the heavy lifting has been completed. So currently, our current assets are at 3.4 million, total assets at 67.2. Our liabilities, current liabilities are at 1.4, non-current are at 2.2, and our total net position is at 64.5 million. And so that's got a change of about roughly 4 million. Now on to the operating revenue. So far this year, we reported for last year a little over $3 million. Our operating expenses were at 2.6. And then if you add in depreciation, that puts us at an operating loss of 1.5. And again, our net position is at 64.5.
How do you account for this check we just voted for on Welch? Where will that end up at?
It will be this year. Do you mean how will we pay for it?
No, and what accounts are you in?
That will show as a claim payable. It'll be a payable, and then
It'll be a what, sorry?
a payable, a legal payable. And our plans, because we do not want to use operating funds for that, is that we will use our line of credit that is established with Truist.
And what do we have against our line of credit now? Nothing.
It was
So this
paid
will be our
off last
first chart.
November. Yes, sir.
We'll put 470,000 against it.
Why wouldn't we just draw money as we need it out of the credit line instead of drawing the credit line out like that and having to pay interest on it?
Well, I think we have to pay the full claim up front. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have, we negotiated a 60-day payout, but I think it was trying not to use operating funds to pay it.
What are the operating funds again?
Well, the operating funds, we have to keep in mind that they also include escrow, which is reserved, as well as we have restricted funds from the sale net proceeds of the homes under that for the property.
Why are those?
It's restricted because we have to go through the process of verifying where those funds came from to purchase the original homes. And we did not have that information when they completed the audit last year. So they restricted the 1.3.
This is,
We have the funds, but it's just really restricted. So we're really not supposed to use those funds.
Is everybody current in the rent with arrears?
We have a few people we paid. I don't know exactly where we stand this month. We have a few people that were, some are just late always, but others, are timely, and we gave a few extra days because of the hurricane for the postmark mail. So I don't know exactly where we stand yet.
but there's no large amount out there. We're talking small amounts.
Small amount, just so we wrote off the one.
Right.
That was rather large.
So the, obviously, so looking at the breakout by the airports, the wages and personal stuff, that's the entire thing, just kind of locked on this basically. But man, when you look at, if you were to take that out and you look at, it's so askew, the FBO revenues at Merritt Island, 57,000. When you look at the other, and Arthur Dunn brings in 80. For a fraction, we saw the number of operations in that slide earlier, 60 a day versus 300 a day. It's really askew, that Merritt Island income on the FBO side. When you look at the expenses, the airport, it's double Arthur Dunn, but same.
I agree.
It really stands out.
That does.
What is anything being done?
Well, I mean, we're working on the two flight thing. I mean, they negotiated what they negotiated back in the day. Now, Adam and I are working on, along with Mark Isott, they're interested in actually purchasing the building and entering into a current market value ground lease agreement. So you'll see those numbers change there. We're very much looking towards that. And hopefully we're going to have that to the board at the next meeting.
So we have 1.7 million in cash and cash equivalents.
As of 9/30/2022.
How far back does Titusville go for their original lease?
2008. So, yeah.
2008?
And what's our interest rate on the,
Line of credit now.
He did not have that for us. We did speak with him this week on St. Brian Orth from Suicide, but he did not have the rate. that he did. We are setting up the new bank account, so they will do a sweep and we will have interest earnings.
And how are all our grant billings, you know, where we got all upside down before, is that all that stuff straightened out, the current?
It is very current. As far as I know, everything has gotten straightened out. We are waiting on a few more invoices from some of our vendors. So, you know, I can only speak of what I have in my hands right now.
The funding agencies seem very happy with us. We're drawing down like we're supposed to. We're getting projects done like we're supposed to. They're giving us money, so we're being rewarded for what we're doing. So I think they seem to be very happy with us.
Anything else? Complete your report.
Yes, sir.
May I ask a question before we go into authority members' reports?
So, yes.
Okay.
Who are you asking?
You.
Oh, me?
Aren't you running this thing? So we have to bring a proposed schedule back to y'all next board meeting. Are you guys good with the 5 p.m. meetings? Good for you. We'll do whatever you want.
Good for me.
5 is good for me.
Okay.
I'm good.
Location.
5:30?
You know what, I will make 5. Today was hard. But yes, I can make 5 work.
Would you be better off a little later?
I don't want to hold everybody up. So no,
Well.
I will make 5 work.
You sure?
Yes. I promise. Thank you for
I didn't call you
consideration.
out.
That's okay. No,
One of the other
Yeah,
items
like-
too, we were just kind of kicking around was a location change because it gets a little cozy in here. Maybe, and I haven't really cleared it completely with Commissioner Pritchett, but would y'all be interested in moving over there if it's even available, or do you want to stay
maybe
here?
we're,
Across the tracks.
Yeah, over at
Stadium Park.
Stadium Park.
It's literally 2 minutes from here. But it's a, it's a large room. It has space in it. The technology's in it. Yes. So I'm just floating that. You guys let me know. And then another thing that we floated last year that was what did get approved, but a consolidated November, December meeting. Are you all interested in that? Roger's not.
Well, we don't need the December meeting necessarily. Do we?
Well, I mean, it just has to be advertised. I think it would be good to have a December meeting for invoices, but perhaps around Turkey Day, again, we're happy to do whatever you want to do. I'm thinking you guys have jobs and families and other obligations, so you'll see a lot of municipalities have consolidated meetings. So just think about that, and we'll bring it back to the next board meeting.
So you think it's December 24th?
I'm available. I can see my family in New Year.
I don't know, 12 months, 12 meetings, we got a lot going on. I can't see giving up an opportunity to make decisions and have discussions and go forward.
Just floating it.
My perspective.
Okay.
There are people though that take off during that time.
There is, yeah.
So I think that, are we gonna be here?
That was why I asked earlier.
I can bring a date as normal, and I can also bring a proposed date for y'all for the next meeting and just see what
When would it be scheduled for now? Based on
oh, I'm not
December
even
15th.
yeah, it's the 15th.
December 15th?
Yeah.
That seems far enough away from Christmas, but I think we.
Okay.
That's it. What's your? All right. that's it.
He's already retired.
Authority members reports. So start with Mr. Mullin.
I just have some questions maybe for Justin about the, like the roof on the mission control. Is that an insurance thing?
It's been sent to the insurance company, and we're waiting on a report.
And so,
They will decide if it was a covered loss from a storm that we didn't know about, and go from there.
and what's our chances, you know? Don't have feel for it at all. And if they don't come through, then what are we gonna do?
Buying a new roof.
And how about the other buildings too, like the hangar and
The stuff from the past storm.
or, yeah,
Yeah, the stuff from the past storm is minor. I think our deductible is 20,000. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's not gonna meet that threshold.
that's all I have, just wondering how we're doing.
Although it comes with it.
Should have asked that. I want to be here.
We wanted to bring it in today to the room.
Have it sitting right there. That's all I have.
I don't have any.
Nothing from it.
Looking at the conceptual drawing of those two huge hangars you're talking about, building on the other side.
Mhm.
Big jets parked there. Is the ramp thick enough to handle all that?
Well, they're gonna have to kind of look at that in their engineering. And I was really kind of disappointed that we didn't get to that tonight, but it'll be on the next agenda. So yeah, they're hiring a engineering firm to actually, an airport engineering firm, I should say, to look at that. So it'll be,
Taxiway Foxtrot, I'm sure it isn't.
it has seen better days.
Yeah, and I don't know if it'll carry some of those big jets that you're
Mhm.
talking about.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's gonna be some ramp work required.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's just a conceptual as to,
I understand.
what they're gonna do. Probably will be
Just,
small.
just don't forget that, that's gonna be a big expense.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all.
Mark?
Nothing.
That was the door project.
He was there today.
Did you finish? You did? Yay.
Hangar inspection is done.
I think we're getting close.
Arthur Dunn is 95% done. Here, we're about 60% done, and then Bear Island is the Hornet's Nest will be last.
Who's holding this up?
Nobody.
I
just
think
time,
it's storms.
hours of the day.
It's not tenants, not operating.
Not yet.
All right. Saving those for last.
So that brings us to, let's see.
Public comments?
Troy, you came, did you want to give some other kind of update or anything? You're here.
Delighted to be here. I'm glad I was here for the exploration park discussion.
We'll see you in the morning.
We'll see you in the morning. Yeah, looking forward to that. Exciting project.
Anybody online want to comment on anything? All right. Well, then I guess we'll adjourn.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes. We were gonna do that, but no, we're gonna wait half of the next year before we pick up right off.